Hi, and welcome to NexGen's video presentation series. This is our general disclaimer. Anything you see here is not endorsed by anyone, including the participants. Anything you may see is make-believe and fictional, and we will deny. Our presentations are meant for fun, and there's some enlightenment that may come along with it. We hope that by viewing this, you will be somehow enticed to further investigate the shrine and masonry in general. Should you like to give a presentation for NexGen, or if you have questions in general, send an email to murawNexGen@gmail.com.
For our second presentation, we have our past secretary, Brother John Porter, who will be presenting this evening on what are you presenting on, John?
Templars.
Templars. So they'll be entertaining, and hopefully I can post more of this video on YouTube than what past President Plano was able to get on to YouTube. Next month we will have our first and second vice presidents presenting their ideas for the upcoming years, and hopefully that'll go over well. And this again is Mura NexGen's second presentation.
The origins of the Masonic Knights Templar are unclear, but it is known from the closing decades of the 18th century several encampments were established in Great Britain and Ireland. The earliest known conferral of the Masonic Knight Templar degree in the United States was at a Boston lodge in 1769. The so-called higher Masonic degrees were brought to the colony by British military lodges associated with the regiments stationed in Boston before the War of Independence. From Boston, Masonic Templars spread across Massachusetts, New York, Pennsylvania, and Maryland, and South Carolina. A newspaper account from 1785 records New York Templars appearing in uniform and with swords on the feast of St. John the Evangelist, and according to the New York Daily Gazette, a similar procession took place on the feast of St. John the Baptist. The Gazette remarks, "This order, consecrated to benevolence, has on its rolls the most distinguished characters of society, and on this occasion many members of Congress and others of high distinction were seen in this philanthropic band." Tonight I'll talk about the attraction of Masonic Neo-Templarism in the colonial era of American history, and briefly trace its spread during the 19th century as a uniformed, quasi-Masonic body. A new form of Templarism was carried to the Americas by regimental field lodges, Masonic lodges attached to British Army regiments, the first of which was created in the 1st Regiment of Foot, later the Royal Scots, in 1732, under a warrant from the Grand Lodge of Ireland, which warranted most of the early field lodges. These military lodges were mobile, following the regiment as it went from place to place, and the founding master of the lodge was frequently the regiment's colonel. These regimental lodges had a profound effect on the Army as a whole, for they provided an alternate channel of communication for the redress of grievances, and they also created a climate where dynamic young soldiers could advance themselves. For example, in November of 1759, 2 months after Wolfe captured Quebec, the 6 field lodges of the troops stationed there formed themselves into a Grand Lodge and elected a Grand Master, a lieutenant, John Guinet, of Lodge 192, Grand Lodge of Ireland, and the 47th Foot, later the Lancashire Regiment. This is one of the more interesting aspects of the military lodge system, and explains why field lodges were so very popular. A junior officer, such as Lieutenant Guinet, in daily contact with his troops, could deal with them, and they with him, as an equal within the confines of the lodge. But as Provincial Grand Master of Quebec, he would have Masonically presided over officers far superior to him militarily. So the field lodges created a fluidity of interaction and communication extraordinary for its day. It's through these Irish military lodges, which I believe created the Masonic Knights Templar rituals, attached to British units in America, that Neo-Templarism spread to the American colonies. The earliest surviving American Knight Templar diploma was issued to Donald McPherson of Charleston, South Carolina, in March of 1782. He was dubbed the Knight of that most holy, invincible, and magnanimous order of Knights Templar, the true and faithful soldier of Jesus Christ. The earliest written record in America mentioning the Knights Templar can be found in the records of St. Andrew's Lodge in Boston, where on the 28th of August, 1769, William Davis, an apothecary, petitioned for and received the higher Masonic degrees of Excellent Master, Super Excellent Master, Royal Arch, and Knight Templar. Now, in addition to being active in local politics, he was a member of the Revolutionary Committee on Correspondence in 1776. Freemasonry was also an important part of his life. He is listed as a member of St. John's Lodge in Boston in 1750, later disappears from Masonic records for a time, and then reappears as master of British Army Lodge number 58, chartered under the Grand Lodge of Ireland, where he was one of the signers of a petition to the Grand Lodge of Scotland for an appointment of Joseph Warren as Provincial Grand Master of Massachusetts. He joined the Lodge of St. Andrew in 1759, but continued to serve as secretary of British Army Lodge number 58 until 1772, when its parent regiment, the 29th, now the Sherwood Foresters, based out of, then, until recently, based out of Nottingham, and the 14th, both involved in the Boston Massacre, were sent first to British Florida and then returned to England in 1773. Another member of St. Andrew's Lodge was Paul Revere, who was also the second Knight Templar created in America. Revere was, of course, an ardent advocate of American independence, and like many other members of St. Andrew's Lodge, was also a member of the patriot group the Sons of Liberty, which were the hosts of the Boston Tea Party. The Sons of Liberty shared a meeting room with St. Andrew's Lodge, whose records for the night of the Boston Tea Party reveal that the regularly scheduled lodge meeting that night was canceled as only 2 members were present. The third Knight Templar in the United States was Joseph Warren, Worshipful Master of St. Andrew's Lodge, when he was created a Knight Templar in May of 1770. Warren was, of course, killed at Bunker Hill, and was one of the great heroes of the War of Independence. The Marquis de Lafayette rededicated the memorial to him on his visit to the United States in the early 18th century. The Morgan scandal and the anti-Masonic movement of the 1830s nearly destroyed the Masonic Knights Templar, but they rapidly recovered after the American Civil War. The Order's regeneration after the Civil War was due in part to the American love for military order, martial music, and parades. A huge war surplus of uniforms and swords certainly added to the appeal, shared by similar uniform parading organizations such as the Grand Army of the Republic and the Knights of Pythias. And the Masonic Knights Templar became especially important between 1870 and 1920, when they dramatically expanded. In 1800, there were maybe 500 Masonic Knights Templar in the United States. By 1898, there were 998 commanderies and 114,000 and change Knights Templar. About 1 in 7 Freemasons in the United States was, at this time, a Knight Templar. The 18th century revival of chivalric ideas in the guise of uniform parading units provided opportunity for men to perform new and different rituals, make pilgrimages to other cities to participate in parades, drill competitions, and conventions. It also allowed men to strengthen morals and spirituality, while at the same time assume exotic and mysterious persona and titles. But perhaps, most importantly, it gave men leadership opportunities to expand their network of friends and social engagements. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. And that's small presentation number 2. In the future, we'll welcome anyone, member or non-member alike, to provide a presentation. So
that's the end of the video. Thanks for viewing.